This meeting is requested to be recorded by the city of Franklin so that we can send the copy to the planning department following this neighborhood meeting, and then they post it on the website. So if you know someone who's not able to attend this meeting and is interested in seeing this presentation, it will be available for them to review once it's posted on the city's website. Also available tonight is the chat menu. So if during the presentation you have a question that you want answered, please write it in the chat menu so you don't forget, and we'll go back to it. At the end of the presentation, we'll give you the opportunity to take yourself off of mute and ask a question verbally if you feel more comfortable doing that. Again, my name is Greg Gamble, and I'm a land planner and landscape architect, and I'm with the design team. I'm joined in the meeting tonight by Alec Chambers, who's with Highwoods, and we're going to present the master plan for Ovation. Alec, I'll hand it over to you.
Good deal. Thank you, Greg. As Greg said, my name is Alec Chambers. I'm the Middle Tennessee market leader for Highwoods Properties. If you're not familiar with Highwoods, we've become the largest owner of office in both Davidson and Williamson counties over the past 30 years. In Franklin, we own the Mars Pet Care headquarters, as well as 5 buildings at the corner of Cool Springs and Carruthers, surrounding our new park called Park Place, which features the New Well Coffee House, pickleball, basketball, a stage, hammocks, a lawn for gathering. It's a really great place. If you haven't visited, please do. It's a good example of what we're planning on doing at Ovation. We appreciate you joining us tonight to let us bring you up to speed on where we are with Ovation. Since the project has been entitled for over 10 years, I'm guessing most of you know where it is, but it's on the east side of I-65 in Franklin, at the corner of Carruthers and McEwen. You can go forward, Greg. By the way, our Park Place is up there to the top left. Some images of Mars. So Ovation includes the site labeled Ovation, as well as the Mars headquarters, and the site to the bottom left that is, for us, part of Ovation, but not part of the entitlements, and something we plan on leaving as a green area. By way of background, Highwoods has owned about half of the 145-acre Ovation site for about 10 years. We bought the other half about 3 years ago after the original retail multifamily developer couldn't get his project off the ground. This history is important because now for the first time, we control our own destiny. We are finally ready to move forward. You'll hear from Greg that we aren't increasing our overall entitlements for the project. We're just changing the location of where certain of the uses will be, so we can create a much better environment for the community. Finally, our current plan was put together over the past year with our new development partner, CenterCal. CenterCal is an extremely accomplished developer and operator of similar projects in 5 states, and we couldn't be more thrilled to have them join our team in Franklin. With all that background, I'll turn it to Greg to walk through the details.
Thank you, Alec. At Ovation's heart and center of the Ovation Development Plan is a 2-acre central park intentionally designed for community gathering, lounging, programmed events, and strolls through the park. The park includes an outdoor movie screen, outdoor dining, a grand lawn, and a food hall. The ground floor of these 2 buildings shown here offer space for restaurants and specialty retailers, adding to the activity of the park space. The park is the hub of the proposed development and creates a community open space within the urban framework. The Ovation Master Plan embraces the intersection of McEwen Drive and Carruthers Parkway with a signature hotel and iconic architecture setting the tone for the Ovation experience. There are multiple accesses to navigate through the master plan. The Ovation Central Park, just like the square in downtown Franklin, can be accessed from multiple directions, but your arrival at the park says you've arrived and gives you a center to the master plan. While the streets and buildings within Ovation create urban pedestrian-friendly streetscape. The master plan is flanked by 29 acres of open space to the south, 11-acre created wetland along McEwen Drive, and Franklin's Liberty Park to the east. Mountain bike trails are planned along the hilltops to the south and will connect to the mountain bike trail network from Columbia State Community College to the trails at Liberty Park. The buildings shown here in pink offer ground floor retail and restaurants to activate the streetscape with convenient pedestrian access from interconnected sidewalks. The distance from Carruthers Parkway to Ovation Parkway along the retail core is approximately 1,700 feet, which is about the distance from First Avenue in downtown Franklin to Starbucks. The upper floors of these buildings have a mixture of uses, including a hotel over Building J, a mix of uses over Building G2, multifamily shown here in yellow, and office space shown here in blue. The mixture of residential uses and office uses in the master plan are critical to the daytime and evening success of the restaurants and retail uses on the ground floor. The buildings shown here in orange are a mix of for-sale townhomes and condominiums that line Ovation Parkway. A lot of discussion has been had by the Ovation design team about the next evolution of architecture in Franklin and the Cool Springs area, with a focus on using architectural principles of timeless design styles and architecture that keeps Franklin Franklin. This is a perfect example of architecture that could have been built today or 80 years ago. The streetscape is planned to embrace a pedestrian experience over the car, with wide, generous sidewalks, unique and safe pedestrian crossings, lush, highly maintained landscape, and easy wayfinding signage. This is a view looking from the hotel at the corner of McEwen and Carruthers back toward the Central Park. The building on the right is a mixed-use building with outdoor dining along the street and residential above. You can see the attention to detail on the ground floor to continue an inviting pedestrian experience with sophisticated personality all the way down the street. Arriving at the Central Park, this is the Grand Lawn, where the community comes together. The park will host a series of community events such as movies in the park, an ice skating rink in the winter, playful activities for all age groups. There are intentional areas for outdoor dining, relaxation, and public art. The buildings that front the park are mixed-use buildings with retail and restaurants on the ground floor that add to the amenities of the park. These buildings are programmed with office and a mix of uses on the upper floor to add activities during the day. In this image, you can see the main retail park garage beyond the buildings with a glass tower elevator for convenient pedestrian access. This image shows the food hall in the park on the right. This is a one-story building that will offer 3 to 4 boutique restaurants with indoor and outdoor seating. This is an architectural concept of the 4-story for-sale condos that will front onto Ovation Parkway. These condominiums will offer garage parking, condo flats with living on one level, a roof access for the upper units, the upper condos, and multiple ground floor entrances highlight convenient pedestrian access connections back to the shops and the restaurants and the pedestrian connections. In addition to sidewalks on both sides of the street within Ovation, 12 and 16-foot greenway trails are provided in key locations to reinforce the pedestrian experience. The trails along Carruthers Parkway will remain and will have multiple sidewalk connections within the master plan. The City of Franklin requires participation in parkland dedication for the city's overall parkland master plan. Included in the Ovation master plan is a 29-acre mountain bike park, an 11-acre urban wetland with boardwalks, interpretive signage, and plant material to support pollinator insects, aquatic diversity, and groundwater recharge. The Central Park will also be included in the parkland dedication with public access to the Grand Lawn, water features, and public art. Today's approved master plan for Ovation is comprised of 77.7 acres. The new proposed plan includes adding 27 acres inside of Ovation Parkway, currently zoned RC12. The new master plan is designed with the guiding principles of Envision Franklin as a high-intensity activity center that attracts large numbers of people and employers both within and outside of the city. It has a focus on being a major employment and revenue generator for our community and maintains a maximum building height of 12 stories. The 27-acre RC12 area was not previously included in the Ovation master plan. It was set aside for development in the future without a fixed master plan. The Mars Pet Care Office is located to the east of Ovation Parkway and is also zoned RC12. Within the RC12 base district today, 60% of the total square footage can be commercial, while another 40% square footage can be multifamily apartments. The 2014 traffic study identified 1.4 million square feet of office for the RC12 district. This would equate to approximately 830 additional multifamily apartments by right in today's zoning ordinance. The proposed master plan now includes the remaining RC12 property and shows a full holistic master plan where office is incorporated into the campus and integrated within the residential and commercial uses. The plan includes approximately 400,000 square feet of retail stores and restaurants, 350 hotel rooms, 1,225,000 square feet of office, and a 30,000 square foot entertainment venue. The master plan does increase the multifamily homes from 950 in the current entitlement on the 77 acres to 1,564 in the proposed 104 acres. It does not increase the multifamily to the full potential that's possible in the RC12 district. The plan only adds 644. That includes the for sale condominiums and the townhomes alongside the mountain bike park. In comparing the 2014 traffic study to the 2025 traffic study, the new master plan adds only 1,100 total trips per day. The 32,000 trips per day from the 2014 study have been used in traffic design plans for the design of Crothers Parkway, the design of the McEwen Interchange, and the design of the McEwen Parkway since 2014. It remains critical to our team and the City of Franklin that the proposed developments stay within the parameters of the 2014 study. The Ovation development includes 9 modification of standards that are unique to Ovation, key to achieving the diversity of architectural style and aesthetic that is critical to the success of the master plan. For example, these include a request for flat roofs on townhomes, unique design detailing for restaurant and retail storefronts, additional flexibility in material choices within Cool Springs architecture, and locating a parking garage along Crothers Parkway. The Ovation development plan has been filed with the City of Franklin for initial review. The new parking study is still under review by the City of Franklin's third-party consultant, and we do expect to have more information on their findings soon. The next step for the Ovation plan is to present to the board, mayor, and aldermen and the Planning Commission at the Joint Conceptual Workshop on June 26th, followed by a public hearing at the Planning Commission meeting on July 24th. The alderman meetings will follow in August through September. At this point, Alec and I are available to answer any questions that you may have, and feel free to take yourself off mute if you feel more comfortable asking the question verbally, or you can type it in the chat menu.
Hey Greg, this is Beth Berger, Alderman Berger.
Yes, hi.
Hey, yeah. Let's talk about a couple things. Let's talk about I know that the zoning, the height overlay here is for a maximum of 12 stories, but I think the majority of these buildings are not that high. Could you address that? And if there are any 12 or 10-story buildings, what part would that be located? And then after that, I have a follow-up question.
We do have a mixture of heights throughout the master plan, and a lot of those heights are going to be dependent upon specific office users that are recruited by Highwoods to the campus. So buildings V and D, for instance, they're going to have a height range probably somewhere between 6 and 10 stories. Building C is more of a mixed use event building that would have probably a height between 3 and 4 stories, where you may have buildings, as we showed in some of the graphics and the illustratives, that are going to be 5 stories in height, and this building here having a total of 4 to 5 stories in height. And this is to create architectural interest, variety within the overall master plan. So yes, there's flexibility to do that. The in the overall master plan, buildings P and S identified here in close proximity to Mars have some flexibility to be between 6 and 12 stories in height. And again, this flexibility is to allow Highwoods and CenterCal the ability to be flexible as they engage with office tenants in the future.
Mhm. And as I understand the plan too, as I've seen it before, that it's any of the multi family will not be standalone apartment buildings. They will be integrated into this development and mixed in with mixed use buildings, if that's correct. Um, then the other thing is the buildings that we're seeing in the yellow are the for sale units, correct?
In the orange color that's here along Ovation Parkway and that are at the base of the mountain bike park.
Yes, okay. Fine. And I just want to go on record.
Beva, just the multifamily at the bottom of the screen on Ovation Parkway, it is designed to be basically standalone multifamily, although we'll probably incorporate retail in the plan as we go along.
Right. I think that's sort of required by the city at this point in time. And within a mixed use, I believe that and right now the aldermen are in the listening mode to look at this plan and listen to the people to get their feedback. And I will say that this is a superior plan. I think to what we've had before and a long time ago. We sometimes wonder why, people like to say, well, why did this ever get finished or anything? But sometimes that pays off in the end because you bring it back a much better plan. And I think this is pretty stellar looking. And I would like to make sure that we have our comments from the people that we can take a look at and see if there's any comments that people want to share. Thank you.
Alec,
Yes,
we've got a question in chat from Kimberly. How many stories tall is Mars right now?
The two buildings it's 4 to 5.
4 and 5 stories in height. Alec, can you talk a little bit about the timeline for construction and kind of the steps through phasing and what you think the build out timeline would look like?
Yeah, so in a perfect world, we'd start construction next year and deliver the phase one. We'll be phasing the project, by the way, yeah, late 28, early 29. And then market demand will dictate future phases.
And would you say phase one is kind of the area around the park and then back out to the corner of McEwen and Carruthers?
It is.
Can you point out that area?
Sure, I can draw it.
Thanks.
Looking generally at this area through here would be kind of phase one.
Phase one.
Hey everybody, this is Jacob. First of all, thank you for taking the time to show us this. I really like the plan overall. I appreciate bringing multi-use developments to the area, especially compared to that bottom left corner of this picture. There's some apartments going in that I'm not as big of a fan of, and so this is definitely a step in the right direction. Sorry, my 7-month-old is coughing next to me. I think the overall, I really like the idea. I think the one big thing I'm worried about, obviously, is going to be deck B there. I think is deck B on the top left corner.
Okay.
Just being in that close to Carruthers, you get off McEwen. I know there's a giant medical facility going in there. Just making sure, and obviously, like you guys have probably already thought about this, hopefully, but making sure that if there is going to be a garage there, it's at least artistic. I think a good idea is like when you go into BNA, they have garages right as you pull in, but making sure if there has to be a garage right next to Carruthers, making sure that it does look matching to the area. Obviously, this is a higher end area. These housing values have gone up a lot recently, and with projects like this will continue to rise. But just making sure that that's like that. And I think the other area is thinking about McEwen North Side. That's been super well received in this area, in my opinion. I go there at least once a week. It feels very open and welcoming to come in. Do you guys have any pictures coming in from either the McEwen side or the Carruthers side that kind of show that invitingness for people to come into the development and making sure that it's not like a development within the city of Franklin that's kind of feels isolated, if that makes sense?
Your question is echoing some of the earlier conversations that we've had with staff as well, and those are things that we're currently working on. So you'll see more of that as you see the joint conceptual workshop, the planning commission presentations. We'll be moving forward with more information on that, Jacob. But it's critical that the first impressions of Ovation from Carruthers Parkway and McEwen Drive elevate the anticipation of what's going to be on the inside as well. Yeah, so I agree with you.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
we'll
think
definitely camouflage the parking deck. I'll also point out the Mars parking deck, while it's not as close to the road, it kind of looms. It sits up high and kind of
yeah,
looms over it. And I'm guessing you've almost never noticed it.
I have
That,
because I do notice those things, but I'm probably one of the few.
but even, I mean, we'll do even a better job because it's, incrementally closer to the road. So we're definitely working on that.
Awesome.
There's a question in there about parking. There's no real surface parking in here other than perhaps, a little bit of parking behind C, and then along the roads, we'll have parking, but and then in the townhomes and condos to the bottom, they'll be in garages. So
There's some parallel parking that's located on the street for convenience. And then, as Alec pointed out, we've got a small little parking lot for convenience behind C and a little bit of parking here tucked in the alley behind S. But the rest of the parking is in structured parking.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments or?
I do. I have one. So you mentioned phase one, and it's not including the condos and the townhomes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, they will be built in two phases. And included in phase one, thank you so much for asking this question.
Yeah.
I just blew right past it, didn't I? This will be kind of phase one, and then this will be in phase two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to bring those in early.
Thank you. That was my question.
Hey, Greg, how are they, and Alex, how are you all planning on connecting this whole development over to Liberty Park? Just by the
Sure,
road?
it'll be connected by mountain bike trail. We're working with the Parks Department now. Coming to the intersection of Tribute Lane and Turning Wheel, there will be that pedestrian connection crossing at that intersection that will go straight to the mountain bike trails that are over at Liberty. Eventually, they want to connect to the power line and connect all the way to Brentwood.
Yeah. Well, we want to work on right now with McEwen Phase 4 being developed on the south side where the current road is now. That's the south side. The new 2 lanes will be built to the north, and then once that's built, we'll be driving on those. The other 2 lanes will be taken up, and a multimodal path will be put on that south side of McEwen all the way to Wilson Pike, working with Lisa Clayton with our Parks Department to connect that into Smith Park eventually someday, and then to go on out to phase 5 all the way to the elementary school. So we want to bring that in, and we do have that right away down on at Oxford Glen and McEwen, the old Liberty Pike, and we own that right away. So we will be able to bring that in along with the Parks Company building in that area into the park. So I think this connectivity is extremely important. And
Well,
thank you all
it's
for
fantastic.
planning that. Pardon?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic to see the communities working together like that.
Yeah,
And Bev, we're working with the developers across the streets with what they're working on in terms of trails to figure out ways to connect them. They're going to have to cross Carruthers, but how to tie in so that it's pretty seamless.
That's, you're talking about REM
I am.
across the street. Yeah, that's to the west of you all. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think Jacob, you mentioned something about medical, but right there across the street from Ovation on the other side of Crothers is REM, and that's a new mixed-use development as well. And that won't be medical right there, but they possibly later on the corner up there by McEwen would be more for the medical. But yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
Are all the units going to be for sale, or is there going to be a mix of sale and rentals?
There will be a mix.
Everything within the circle is for rent. Everything on the outside at the bottom of the screen is for sale.
No. Yeah. And how much traffic do you anticipate this will increase out to Turning Wheel?
I don't know Turning Wheel specifically, but I can get that information from our traffic engineer. Happy to look that up.
Yeah, it was part of the traffic study, so the information is available. Just it's a lot of information. But the good news is we've got multiple access points in and out of here, so the impact is definitely spread out a lot.
Yeah, that's one of the things I do like. You have multiple access points to this whole development, which is fabulous. I would think Turning Wheel would only get people going to the park or actually going up to take a right hand turn on Turning Wheel to go to Liberty Pike. And also you'll be also required to do a lot of road improvements. We've already had a lot of turn lanes put in there and everything, but the intersection will be addressed and the lighting will be addressed and everything. Great thing about this location is you're right off the interstate, so we don't have, just 2 blocks up to the interstate. But I know that the city will require work to be done on that intersection and also the traffic lighting as well.
And then Greg, go up to the aerial of the area. I'll just add on the roads that the city of Franklin and all the development community. There's really a couple of loops around this site on either side of I-65 up and down Carruthers, down to Columbia and everything. So this is really where the city has wanted this kind of development. And so a lot of the infrastructure is in place. Obviously, we'll be making some additional improvements, but the road grid is about as good as you can find.
Yeah.
Alec, are you aware there's a question here? Has anyone discussed a traffic light at Turning Wheel? And I'm assuming, Pat, you're asking about a traffic light at Turning Wheel and McEwen Drive. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And Alderman Berger, do you know if a part of the McEwen Drive improvements, if that's been contemplated? I'm not aware of it. Alec, you may know. I'm not sure.
No, actually, not at this point, but we will be constantly reevaluating that. And along with the parks development, the PARKES company, down from Turning Wheel, between Turning Wheel and the roundabout at Oxford Glen Cool Springs, once they come online to do development. And I think they've been sort of putting this off a little bit because they've been basically waiting on phase 4 of McEwen to get developed, because they didn't want to be disruptive during that time while that road is getting developed. And I understand that, and I'm sort of very appreciative of that. But once they start up, then they'll be doing a whole different traffic study. Pat, they'll be required to do that, and at that point, we'll be reevaluating that intersection for sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks for asking.
Hey, Greg, this is Alderman Jason Potts.
Hey, Alderman Potts.
How are you, sir?
Doing
And thank you very much. A lot of the questions that I had here in my notes have already been asked, and I know that this call is being recorded. For everybody who's attending this call, or maybe this is their first time attending one of these types of calls, would you please remind everybody where the recording is going to be, as well as the resources? Because I know that there's been a number of questions, and y'all have cited some of the resources and the traffic studies, et cetera, of where that information can be found, please.
Sure. Okay, so on the city's website, if you just Google City of Franklin neighborhood meetings, there is a link here to all the recorded neighborhood meetings that the city has had going back to 2004. And so the right here is the neighborhood meeting for Orium. The next one that you'll see up here is the neighborhood meeting for Ovation. So pretty simple to find, but just simply by Googling neighborhood meetings, City of Franklin, it should be the first item that comes up under that.
Excellent. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate those details. And
Sure.
if somebody has some follow-up questions after this meeting, where should they submit those questions?
Typically, those are funneled through the City of Franklin Planning Department. They'll send those to us, or in the letter that was sent out for the neighborhood meeting, my email address and cell phone numbers on that letter, so they can email me directly if they want to do that as well.
All right. Thank you, Greg.
Sure.
Also, thank you, Alderman Berger, for being so active on this call. We appreciate you doing that. And we know this has been a project that you've been closely watching for a long time.
From the very beginning. Thanks, Alderman. I appreciate that very much too. And, yeah, if you have questions on the development per se, reach out to the city or reach out to Greg. If there's any other questions, I am the alderman over this development, and my email is bev, at aldermanberger.com. That's BEV at ALDERMANBURGER.com. 615-498-4794. Glad to talk to you about anything, but any specific questions on the development should be directed to the developer through Greg Gamble. Thanks.
If there are any final questions, we'll take those now. Otherwise, thank you all so much for joining our neighborhood meeting tonight. And yeah, we'll certainly make ourselves available if you need any other additional information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.